The Galactic Council chamber froze. 1,000 alien delegates watched in disbelief as Ambassador Rylan of Earth rose from his seat, ripped off his translation badge, and slammed it onto the marble floor, shattering the device in front of everyone. "Humanity will not be insulted," he said, his voice echoing through the silent hall. Behind him, every human officer, soldier, and diplomat slowly stood, an entire species rising in unison. Whispers of fear spread through the chamber. And then, without waiting for permission, the humans stormed out of the assembly, their footsteps shaking the ancient hall. The galaxy watched in horror. Because everyone knew the same truth. When humans walk away angry, something unstoppable is about to begin. The Galactic Council chamber was built to intimidate. Massive pillars of polished obsidian curved upward like the ribs of a colossal ancient beast. Holographic banners representing 1,000 worlds floated above the delegates, glowing softly in the dim light. And at the center of it all, under the high dome of shimmering stars, stood the human delegation, surrounded on all sides. Ambassador Rylan Thorne felt every pair of alien eyes on him. Some watched with suspicion. Some with fear. A few with open hostility. The council speaker, a tall crystalline being from the Thaline Concord, struck the floor with her staff. "Begin the emergency session," she commanded, her voice ringing like chimes. A hush fell. And then the accusations began. A Vorethi delegate, draped in shimmering blue armor, slithered forward. His voice was oily, smug. "Humanity," he announced, "stands charged with destabilizing the balance of the galaxy." Rylan didn't flinch. "On what grounds?" The Vorethi spread its claws wide. "Interference in multiple border conflicts. Deployment of military fleets without council authorization. Open support for primitive worlds that were not recognized by this assembly." Murmurs rippled through the hall. Rylan kept his tone calm. "We intervened to save innocent species from extinction. Species the council ignored." "That is irrelevant," the Vorethi snapped. "Humanity grows too powerful. Too fast. You act without permission." Rylan almost smiled. "We acted because you refused to." A wave of scandalized gasps swept the chamber. Another delegate, this one from the Arvok swarm, chittered angrily. "Humans disrupt natural order. They meddle in matters beyond their understanding." Rylan exhaled slowly, keeping his rising anger in check. He tapped a control on his wristpad, projecting a hologram above the center table. Images of burning villages on Tecafor. A dozen species fleeing extermination by raiders. Human ships descending like guardian angels, pushing back invading fleets. Refugees crying in relief as Terran medics treated them. "These," Rylan said, "are the worlds we protected while this council debated, and did nothing." A silence followed. Not the respectful kind, the angry, embarrassed kind. Several minor species delegates looked down, ashamed. But the Vorethi only sneered. "Heroic illusions. Your presence frightens the galaxy. Your fleets grow. Your influence spreads. And fear." His voice dropped to a hiss. "Must be controlled." Rylan's jaw tightened. There it was. The real reason behind the charges. Not justice. Not law. Not balance. Fear. Humanity had risen too quickly, and the old powers didn't like sharing their throne. Rylan leaned forward slightly. "Is this truly about order, or about your grip on power slipping?" The speaker struck her staff again. "Ambassador Rylan, you will not speak out of turn." He stepped back, but inside, the fuse had already been lit. As the accusations continued, twisted stories, selective facts, outright lies, Rylan felt something he rarely allowed himself to feel in public. Rage. At the hypocrisy. At the cowardice. At the way the council praised humanity when they needed saving. And condemned them when humanity stood tall. His earpiece buzzed. A soft message from Admiral Cashin aboard the Terran flagship orbiting the capital. "They've already decided, Rylan. This isn't a trial. It's a performance. Rylan clenched his fists. He looked around at the council members, most too afraid to speak the truth, others too corrupt to care. Humanity wasn't being judged. They were being framed. And as the Vorethi delegate began presenting falsified evidence, Rylan felt something shift deep inside him. A silent promise. If they wanted a confrontation, they were going to get one. The council chamber darkened as another hologram flickered to life, this one projected by the Vorethi Dominion. A web of red markers pulsed across the star map, each one representing an unauthorized human intervention. Rylan watched it unfold with a calm expression he did not feel. The Vorethi delegate's voice slithered through the room. Observe, esteemed members. Earth has deployed fleets into 6 sectors without permission. They claim it was to assist. Yet every intervention increased their strategic presence. A Kalari ambassador, her translucent skin shimmering pink, raised a trembling hand. But humans saved the Rinkol species from extinction. They stopped the Scourge pirates and gained new allies in the process, the Vorethi interrupted sharply. Allies who now owe Earth a debt of loyalty. The implication was clear. Humanity was guilty of helping too many people. Rylan tapped his wristpad again. A new hologram appeared, this one showing timestamps, distress signals, and council communications. Most of the distress calls had gone unanswered for months. Tell the truth, Rylan said evenly. These worlds begged for help. You never sent any. The council speaker's crystalline voice rang out again. Ambassador, you will let the Dominion finish. Rylan inhaled slowly, suppressing the urge to respond. He could feel the anger building like pressure in his chest. Beside him, Captain Mira Solane, the senior officer of the human security team, leaned in slightly. They're not even pretending anymore, she whispered. Look at their faces. They decided this weeks ago. Rylan's response was a quiet nod. Across the chamber, a species from the rim worlds whispered among themselves. Their delegation head, small and feathered, turned toward the humans with sympathy. Rylan saw it. He appreciated it. But sympathy was not going to change anything today. The Vorethi delegate continued, gesturing toward the star map. Every time humanity intervenes, they leave behind military bases, defense platforms, or political alliances. This is not altruism. This is expansion. Rylan finally spoke, his voice measured. We leave behind protection. We leave behind peace. We leave behind the tools for civilizations to stand on their own. Tools built by humans, the Vorethi sneered. Peace enforced by humans. Laws interpreted by humans. Rylan raised an eyebrow. You say that as if it is a crime. Dozens of murmurs broke out. The council speaker struck her staff again. Order. But the chamber did not calm. The Kral delegate, a towering, armored giant from a warrior species, stood and addressed the room. For cycles, humans have done what this council refused to do. They take action. They save the weak. And now you condemn them for it? The Vorethi hissed, do not pretend you care for the truth, Kral. Everyone here knows humanity threatens us all. So you fear them, the Kral rumbled. At last, you admit it. More voices rose. Some supporting humans. Some attacking them. Some demanding investigations. Some demanding sanctions. The chamber devolved into noise, accusations colliding with counter-accusations. Rylan stood in the center of it, watching the spectacle. He thought about all the times Earth had sacrificed for these worlds, human soldiers dying to protect alien civilians, Terran medical teams treating diseases humanity had never encountered, human engineers rebuilding societies shattered by war. None of it mattered now. Not to those who wanted humans smaller. Weaker. Contained. A soft alert blinked on Rylan's wristpad, another message from Admiral Cashin. If they push sanctions, fallback protocol is ready. Just say the word. Rylan didn't reply. Not yet. First, he needed to hear it from them, the final insult. The moment when the council crossed a line they could never walk back. And that moment came from a voice Rylan knew too well. Delegate Vestra of the Dominion stepped forward again, his eyes glowing faintly. "I propose," he said, "that humanity's military presence be restricted, their fleets monitored, their colonies audited, and their technology surrendered to the Council for review." The entire chamber fell silent. Even the air felt heavier. It was no longer a political maneuver. No longer a debate. It was domination. A slap in the face of every human who had bled for the galaxy. Rylan slowly lifted his gaze toward the council speaker, expecting her to reject such an outrageous proposal. But she didn't. Her crystalline eyes softened with something like regret. "Ambassador Rylan, the council will now vote on the proposal." Rylan felt his heart go cold. Captain Miro whispered, "They're really doing it. They're trying to put humanity on a leash." Rylan nodded once. A decision formed inside him, quiet, steady, unshakable. If this was the respect the council believed humanity deserved, then the council no longer deserved humanity. The Vorethi delegate's final accusation echoed through the chamber like a venomous hiss. "You humans are reckless, primitive, dangerous. Your place is beneath us." Rylan's calm facade cracked, just slightly. His eyes burned with restrained fury. "You call us dangerous," he said, voice steady but deadly. "Yet it is your cowardice and your lies that threaten peace, not humanity's actions." A few delegates gasped. Some tried to murmur, but the words stuck in their throats. The speaker slammed her crystalline staff on the floor. "Ambassador Rylan, that is enough. Sit down or be removed." Rylan's hands clenched at his sides. Behind him, human officers straightened, unflinching. He could feel every heartbeat, every suppressed whisper among the aliens, fear, curiosity, doubt. And then the moment arrived. A single, sharp spark, tiny, almost imperceptible, that ignited the fire of humanity's defiance. Rylan leaned forward. "You invited us for our strength," he said, letting each word strike like a hammer. "You sought our fleets when your wars threatened your precious order. And now you fear us because we act with justice. I will not stand in this chamber and allow lies to define my people." The Vorethi delegate hissed, leaning forward like a predator ready to strike. "You will obey. Or enough." Rylan's voice rang louder than ever. "Humanity will not kneel to fear disguised as authority." A sudden hush fell across the chamber. Some delegates tried to stand, to protest, but it was too late. Humanity had drawn its line. Rylan's gaze swept across the hall, locking eyes with the Vorethi. "Your council has chosen its path. You may continue your performance of judgment. But remember this. We do not fear. And we do not forget." The chamber fell silent, the kind of silence that presses down like a physical weight. Rylan slowly reached up and removed his translation badge. The small device, a symbol of cooperation, diplomacy, and restraint, shattered against the polished marble floor with a sharp crack. Sparks danced across the surface, catching the eyes of every delegate. Behind him, human officers rose. Then more. Then the entire human delegation stood as one. Every diplomat, soldier, and advisor, moving in perfect unison. Their boots echoed through the chamber like the march of an unstoppable army. Whispers turned to gasps. Some aliens tried to shout, to command, to stop them, but no one moved fast enough. The humans had made their choice. Rylan's voice cut through the stunned silence. Humanity will no longer serve a council that fears truth. The Vorethi delegate's smirk faltered. Panic flickered across the faces of several major powers. Some scrambled to activate security systems, drones hovering into the chamber with mechanical whirs. But the humans ignored them entirely. Each step they took toward the exit carried authority. Every alien watching felt a strange mixture of fear and awe. They had underestimated the humans' unity, their discipline, their courage. As the humans reached the massive double doors, Rylan paused, looking back at the council one last time. This is not surrender. This is not retreat. This is the moment the galaxy will remember. We are not your pawns. We are not your problem to contain. With that, he pushed the doors open. The human delegation flowed into the hallways of the Galactic Capital, leaving a stunned assembly behind. Outside, the courtyard was filled with hundreds of humans and supporters from minor species who had secretly aligned themselves with Earth's cause. Rylan raised his hand, signaling calm but authority. Then, he activated a holographic transmission. It spread across thousands of worlds. Humanity will no longer answer to a council that fears what it cannot control. Let every world hear this: the galaxy is wide, the stars are many. And humanity walks among them, free, vigilant, and united. From the balconies and corridors, alien observers gasped. Even young species who had once doubted humans now whispered in awe. This is what it means to be truly unbroken. The council chamber remained in chaos behind them, but outside, a new message had been sent. When humans walk together, the galaxy cannot ignore them. The air outside the council hall was thick with tension, charged like the calm before a storm. Hundreds of humans had gathered in the massive courtyard of the Galactic Capital. Soldiers, diplomats, scientists, medics, all standing together, their uniforms pristine, their posture unwavering. Beside them, a handful of representatives from minor species who had quietly aligned with Earth now stepped forward, showing support. Rylan raised his hand. His voice carried across the courtyard, amplified by holographic transmitters. Today, humanity walks away, not in defeat, but in defiance. We will no longer serve a council that fears truth and justice. We will not bow to lies, nor will we be intimidated by cowardice masquerading as authority. The crowd of humans erupted in a disciplined cheer. Their resolve radiated like a beacon, touching the alien observers who had chosen to side with them. Across the galaxy, the message went viral almost instantly. Holographic feeds, comms networks, and news transmissions carried the words to thousands of worlds. From industrial hubs on Lyrax Prime to the floating citadels of the Zephyri cluster, beings paused to watch, to listen, and, surprisingly, to hope. Even some of the Council's own members felt a pang of doubt. The Vorethi Dominion's confident facade wavered. The arrogance of centuries of control met a force it could not calculate: unity, principle, and courage without compromise. Young species, long oppressed or marginalized by the Council, whispered among themselves. They protect the weak, and they don't bow. Maybe humanity is different. Rylan's message continued. The galaxy must choose. It can continue to bow to fear, or it can recognize that justice cannot be silenced. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves. We will act where others hesitate. And we will never let fear dictate our path. The humans' footsteps, disciplined and synchronized, echoed across the courtyard as they assembled in formations reminiscent of military precision, yet filled with pride, not intimidation. It was a display designed not to threaten, but to inspire. And inspire it did. Observers, minor species, diplomats, even some soldiers from neutral empires, felt the first stirrings of something rare in the galaxy: hope. The Council's whispers of control had become a broadcast of defiance. Every holographic feed, every transmission that carried Rylan's words, painted a single, undeniable truth. Humanity had chosen its path. And the galaxy was watching. Back in the Council chamber, chaos reigned. The Vorethi Dominion's confident smirk had vanished. The speaker pounded her crystalline staff repeatedly, trying to restore order, but no delegate dared speak. The human walkout, and the viral broadcast that accompanied it, had shattered centuries of carefully maintained control. Whispers rippled through the galaxy. Worlds that had once feared speaking up began questioning the Council's authority. Minor empires secretly aligned with humanity now saw the possibility of a new order. Meanwhile, the Vorethi called for immediate military action. Contain Earth. Send fleets. Show them the consequences of insolence. But their calls fell on deaf ears. Many worlds refused to mobilize against humanity, unwilling to side with fear over principle. Some even began discreetly sending messages of support to Earth. On Earth, the United Terran Navy was already positioning its fleets in defensive formations around the Sol system. Not for war, not yet, but in quiet readiness. Every ship, every captain, every soldier knew the stakes. Humanity had chosen defiance, and the galaxy had taken notice. Rylan addressed his officers in a briefing on the flagship Resolute. The Council believes it can intimidate us with tradition, hierarchy, and lies. They are wrong. If they think walking away is weakness, they will soon discover the truth. Across alien worlds, the effects of humanity's stance were already visible. Whispers of admiration, curiosity, and even fear spread like wildfire. The galaxy realized that a species capable of united defiance, and capable of protecting the weak, could not be ignored. In secret chambers, council members debated their next steps. The words containment, sanctions, and preemptive strikes were thrown about, but every plan carried uncertainty. Humanity had shown they were not a threat to the weak, yet no one could predict how far they might go when challenged. Rylan, looking out at the stars from the Resolute's observation deck, spoke quietly to himself. If they want a galaxy without humanity, they will discover what that actually means. The galaxy had witnessed humanity's defiance. The Council had been shaken to its core. And across the stars, the first murmurs of a new era, one shaped not by fear, but by human courage, began to take root.